Today, I want to talk to you about some tips that helped me finish my first ultra marathon. Hopefully, it will help you complete your first ultra marathon. So let me go straight into this. So tip number one is hydration and nutrition. Hydration plays a huge role, especially for these longer distances. If you're running a 50K, 50 miler, so on and so forth. This plays a huge role. Drink water early in the race so it can help you in the long run. You don't want to be 5K away from the finish or 1 mile away from the finish and you, I don't know, somehow bonk or hit the wall and somehow can't finish. You don't want to be that person. Make sure you get in those electrolytes. Make sure you get in that food. Food is very important. Like I said earlier, nutrition, that food, because you are running longer distances. You are burning more calories because you're going up and down hills, depending on the course. So you're burning a lot of calories, so you want to get in that food in you. So yeah, so for tip number two is exposure to the trails. Don't be afraid to run on the trails. Trails are a bit scary to run on because you have to watch out for your footing. You're more likely to twist something, you're more likely to fall on trails than on the roads, because on the trails it's rocky, it's unstable surface, it might be a bit technical depending on the trail that you're running on. So yeah, don't be afraid to run on the trails. And when it comes to running on the trails, your pace really doesn't matter. Looking at your watch shouldn't be something you should be worried about. The thing you should be really worried about is looking in front of you, looking on the ground, being aware of your surroundings. Don't be afraid to go on the trails. If you have to walk some segments, walk those segments. There's no shame. Even the great ultramarathoners out there walk some trails, especially on the uphills. So yeah, that's it for my tip number two, getting exposure to the trails. And for tip number three, this is very important, especially if you're running ultra marathons, is time on your feet. So time on your feet, you got to get in those hours. You cannot be running like 3 hours a week, especially if you're training for a 50K or higher. You cannot be getting those 3 hours a week or 2 hours a week. You got to put in more hours. You want to be prepared when it comes to racing, not underprepared. So you got to get used to running. You got to get used to being on your feet a long time out on the trails, getting in those 2 hour runs, those 3 hour runs, maybe 4 hour runs, or even much more, depending on the distance that you're running. You got to get used to being on your feet the whole time. So yeah, so just to recap, my three tips were hydration and nutrition. Don't be afraid to drink water early. Don't be afraid to take advantage of the aid station snacks. Some of the aid stations have some amazing snacks, so please make sure you take advantage of that. Number two is don't be afraid of the trails. No shame of walking. Don't be afraid of tripping or falling. I have fallen and tripped multiple times. Like I said earlier, probably the best ultramarathoners out there have tripped and fallen numerous times as well. Don't be afraid of walking uphill. Don't worry about too much about the pace or your splits. It's more about getting your legs used to going up and down those hills. And my final step was time on feet. You gotta get used to running long runs. You gotta get used to running for time over than distance. You gotta put in hours on the trails, on the roads, so you can be ready to run your first ultra marathon. Hopefully these tips help you. They for sure helped me. I know there's so much more tips out there on how to complete your first, or how to be successful on how to complete your first ultra marathon. Hopefully this helps, guys. Thank you guys for watching, and hopefully I can make more of these tip videos. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Until next time, peace.